I'm going to read a brief section from a novel. How often do I get a chance to sell any anyway, so I'll be crass and commercial and say it's on sale. I'm going to read just a brief little bit here. It's all you need to know about what's going on. I call this an extended fiction. It's not a novel in the usual sense, and you don't need to know an awful lot to know what's... Oh hell, I can't find what I was going to read. Yes, that's... Okay. Okay. All you need to know really is that there's a guy, he's in love with a girl. She is, he's encountered her in a place where guys go to look at girls. Every bit of them. And
Doctor's office?
and he's seen her in public a few times. Each time he swears he's not going to go again to one of these seedy places. Very ashamed of what he's doing. Can't seem to stop himself. And her professional name is Black Satin. Want a little extra now. Okay. From my vantage point in the second balcony at the symphony concert, as the orchestra tuned and pre-concert chatter filled the hall, I surveyed the audience below and felt a small flower of what? Fear, anxiety, excitement, a composite of all of these blossom into my stomach, radiating up to my heart and chest and down through my guts to my balls, where the flower's petals set up a tickling and tingling, stirring my dormant member to a kind of preliminary roll, a torporous list to left or right, as my eyes fell on a figure seated in the center of the 20th row or so, a figure tiny at this distance, a figure of whom I had a 3/4 front view, my seat being on the side balcony, a figure whose features I could not quite make out, a figure my companion at the symphony, a cosmetics company marketing woman with cultural pretensions and marital yearnings, was oblivious to. A figure I knew to be that of Black Satin, knew by the soft sheen of her hair, the smoothness of her pale complexion, the erotic ruby gloss of her lipstick, the elegant lift of her chin, the sophisticated carriage that would be evident were she standing instead of sitting, the quivering of her breasts within her low-cut evening gown as she laughs warmly in appreciation of some joke or bon mot that has been just communicated to her, gracefully crossing her slender legs with a whisper of black stockings on black stocking, the slit at the side of her dress disclosing as a result of this movement a white sliver of thigh at the top of the stocking on her right leg, suggesting that she is wearing a garter belt, doubtless a black one, since her dress and stockings are black, its straps surely trimmed with strips of delicate black lace stretching from the belt itself at her waist, over the luxurious curves of her buttocks, across a minuscule wisp of fabric clinging to the moist warmth of her vulva as she sat there some 80 or 100 feet beneath me, and I cursed myself for not bringing binoculars and tried to discern whether that last glance upwards was in my direction and whether it fell on me and she recognized me, and there flashed briefly across her features a slight start of surprise or excitement or pleasure at being with me at the symphony, resting her head with casual affection on my shoulder, absently stroking my thigh as we're bathed in the lush orchestral sounds of a Tchaikovsky overture, every nuance of which can be discerned with absolute clarity in the seats I have chosen, with such painstaking attention to the hall's acoustic properties and with no regard for cost, not wanting to stint on this special night out when we're both been able to squeeze some time from the demands of our respective careers. Hers, the new one, of film producer, and she dips her head a bit to to smell the rose I picked up from the florist on my way home, and which she holds now amid the packed throng of the concert hall, a small smile of contentment playing over her lips as she drinks in the sensuous pleasures of the rose's fragrance and the spiritually refreshing sounds of the music, unaware that on a side balcony of the hall, high above her, so small in her vision that she could not make out a single detail of his features, a man sits in reluctant company with a cosmetics marketing woman, wishing he was instead with her, certain that she is now holding the rose he placed in her hand the night before, as she lay naked on the stage at the end of her dance, and plotting how he can manage to encounter her in the lobby during intermission at appointment. Somehow both his companion and hers are elsewhere, to engage her in conversation about the concert and find a way to introduce himself and secure a future meeting, hoping she will not connect him with those other surroundings whose part in her life she surely wants to play down, surroundings from which she will soon disengage herself to settle into a more savory career, perhaps as a film producer. Thereafter, to share with him romantic evenings at symphony concerts, dressed in a black strapless dress, discreetly low-cut, her head lolling on his shoulder as her nostrils fill with the sweet, heady odor of a rose he had presented her with, and in his lap, the fingers of her left hand intertwining with the fingers of his right in abstracted, unguarded affection, even as they do now, while I watch from my high perch, peering to confirm that it is her, knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is her, certain that it is her, thinking it is her, believing it is her, hoping it is her, wondering if it is her, considering that it may not be, knowing